Alright, we have a call from Parth. हॅलो.
हॅलो बोल की.
काय नाही, त्याचं डिपॉझिट तो भरायचं म्हणालाय, तर त्यानं कार्डनं पैसे जाणार ना, मग एकतर निओचं कार्ड नाही तर मग तो काय तर म्हणते बँकेत जाऊन RTGSचं कोटेशन काय तर आहे बघ, मला नाही नीट माहीत.
कशाचं
तो काय तर कोटेशन देणार, ते आपण आपल्या बँकेत घेऊन जायचं
हा
आणि मग तिकडनं ती प्रोसेस होणार. नाहीतर मग क्रेडिट कार्डनं वगैरे एक्स्ट्रा चार्ज लागणार. पण नाही, तू तू
कशाचं
ये.
पण
काय काय
कशाचं आहे पण
ह्याचं ब्रिस्टलला येणार आहेस तू? हां.
अच्छा
काय काय
त्याचं हा डिपॉझिट बोलतोयस ना तू.
होय होय, येणार आहेस ना का नाही?
ब्रिस्टलला झाले की ऍक्सेप्टन्स हो, जाऊया की ब्रिस्टलला जाऊया काय.
मग त्याचंच की, त्याचंच सांगालोय मग.
हा अजून कुठली युनिव्हर्सिटी नाही ना बघायची, मग ब्रिस्टल फायनल.
आता काय ह्याच्यापेक्षा चांगलं काय आहे काय आपल्याकडे?
नाही नॉटिंगहॅम चांगली नाही त्याच्यामध्ये.
नाही नाही, म्हणजे ॲटलिस्ट रँकिंगनुसार तर नाही.
अच्छा
म्हणजे त्यानं केलंय अप्लाय सोड.
सेकंड बेस्ट रँकिंग येतच आहे ना.
हां, म्हणजे आपल्या भावा ह्याच्यात पण नव्हतं ते स्कोपमध्ये.
होय काय.
नाही, ते भावा QS54 आहे याची रँकिंग.
टॉप 100च्या आतमध्ये.
टॉप
टॉप
100, हां टॉप 50च्या आसपास आहे.
चालतंय.
आणि ह्याला SBIचा लोनचा पण एक विषय आहे.
हो ते फ्री लोन मिळतं.
हां,
ते
स्वस्तात.
कोलॅटरल
होय, कोलॅटरल फ्री पण मिळेल. ते गव्हर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉई दाखवायचं तसं, त्यांच्यासाठी आहे ते.
माझी मम्मी पण बसते ना त्यात.
होय तेच की, होयच की, म्हणून सांगालोय.
चालतंय की विषय करू काय प्रॉब्लेम.
हां, तो म्हणला सिद्धेशचा अवघड आहे. काय माहीत, सांगतायत
सिद्धेशला भेटला का.
सिद्धेशला सकाळी नाही अजून तर नाही, पण बहुतेक मिळू शकते त्याला या आठवड्यात नाही किंवा पुढच्या आठवड्यात. आणि
ओके ओके.
सिद्धेशनं मग ह्यांना पण पैसे दिलेले काय,
सिद्धेशनी
त्या ह्यांना रे, ग्लोबल ऑपॉर्च्युनिटीजवाल्यांना.
पैसे दिले नाही त्यांना एवढ्याला आपल्यावरच.
का त्यानं ऐकलं नाही काय आपलं अजून?
ऐकलं की आता काय झालं की ऑलरेडी पैसे दिले काय ऐकायचं काय.
नाईस नाईस. चालते, चला लाईव्ह स्ट्रीम करालोय आता.
हा
हां.
हे आता 18 तारखेनंतर आल्यावर
काय काय करणार आहेस?
डिपॉझिट भरायचे तेच ना.
हां हां
डिपॉझिट साठीच बोलतोस ना तू.
हां, डिपॉझिटसाठीच फोन लावलेला तुला मी मगाशी.
हा डिपॉझिट आता 18 तारखेला भरतो भाई. ते 28 पर्यंत आहे ना.
नाही, 30 तारखेपर्यंत आहे वेळ.
30 ऑगस्ट का.
जुलै जुलै.
ऑगस्ट पर्यंत वाटतंय.
नाही रे, जुलै 7 लिहिलेलं तिथे. 31, हां 31 जुलैपर्यंत.
तुझ्या ऑफरवर 31 जुलै आहे.
होय, तुझ्यावर काय आहे? हां चालते, ओके ठेवतो. Yes, all right. Today we are going to learn FastAPI. FastAPI framework. I don't know. I have just wipe coded until now, but yeah, let's learn it quickly, very fast. What a message. Okay, apparently FastAPI framework is high performance, easy to learn, fast to code, ready to production. Let us see how true this is. FastAPI is a modern, fast, high performance web framework for building fast APIs with Python based on standard Python type hints. We don't know, we'll learn this. Okay, we got a call from. हेलो हेलो मॉडल,
मॉडर्न ये देख,
क्या चल रहा भाई?
ये देख एम्पायर स्टेट बिल्डिंग।
अरे भाई साहब, भाई वो दिख भी नहीं रहा ऊपर वाला।
रुक उसकी छोटी साइड से दिखाता हूँ, वो है हल्की सी अटकती हुई।
अरे दिखा दिखा दिखा।
भाई न्यूयॉर्क देख ले भाई, न्यूयॉर्क।
अरे भाई साहब, अरे तू लेकिन ईस्ट साइड में था ना? सॉरी, वेस्ट साइड में था
मैं
ना?
वेस्ट साइड था।
हाँ, तो इधर
हाँ,
घूमने आया
हूँ
क्या अभी?
न्यूयॉर्क। हाँ
अरे वाह वाह। अरे अंदर जाने
भाई,
को मिलता
crazy
क्या
city है भाई।
एम्पायर स्टेट के
हाँ
अंदर?
मिलता है, $55 की टिकट है।
अरे महंगा है फिर।
वही जाऊंगा, दोस्त के घर आ रहा हूँ, दोस्त के साथ जाऊंगा। रुक,
अभी
टॉप
किधर?
दिखाऊं छोटी।
अभी किधर रुका है?
अभी तो जस्ट लैंड कर रहा हूँ मैं, लैंड करते ही निकल गया पैदल, तेरे कॉल करा पहले, सबसे पहले।
अच्छा,
वो देख,
हाँ
दिखी?
भाई, दिख गया भाई, लग रही है एम्पायर स्टेट लग रही है अब।
भाई एम्पायर स्टेट बिल्डिंग भाई।
हाँ, सही है सही है।
अभी 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 जा रहा हूँ मैं देखने, क्या कहते हैं, ग्रैंड सेंट्रल स्टेशन।
ये मैंने सुना है बस भाई। दिखा दिखा।
भाई ये मेडागास्कर एक मूवी बचपन में आई थी।
हाँ हाँ, पता
जिसमें
है
एनिमेटेड
उधर।
मूवी थी।
अरे हाँ, वो टाइगर लायन वगैरह उधर है क्या? उधर का ही है क्या?
हाँ वो न्यूयॉर्क के होते हैं ना सारे, तो वो मार्टी भाग के ग्रैंड, वो जीब्रा होता है, वो भाग के आता है ग्रैंड सेंट्रल स्टेशन पे, तो मैं तब से ग्रैंड सेंट्रल लाइक स्टेशन वो है चेकलिस्ट पर।
अरे बढ़िया, नाइस नाइस, ड्रीम्स कमिंग ट्रू। क्या अकेला घूम रहा है?
क्रेजी सिटी। हाँ अभी जस्ट लैंड किया फ्लाइट से।
हाँ।
फिर ट्रेन अभी अभी यहाँ तो सुबह के 8 बज रहे हैं, 9, तो वो उठा नहीं है मेरा दोस्त अभी।
हाँ।
मैंने जाने की थोड़ा जल्दी बुक करी थी ताकि थोड़ा घूम लूं।
हाँ हाँ,
फिर तो उसके साथ चला जाऊंगा।
सही है भाई। भाई बारिश का वेदर दिख रहा है।
हाँ मौसम यहाँ ऐसे ही है, मौसम इतना अच्छा नहीं है, मौसम एलए का बढ़िया।
हाँ हाँ
भाई पर सिटी क्रेजी है भाई, ये देख।
हाँ भाई, वो
मतलब
तो।
ना वीडियो में पता नहीं चलता, बट कैसे बताऊं तेरे को।
हाँ भाई, दिख रहा है भाई।
क्रेजी बिल्डिंग, ऑब्जर्वेशन टिकट्स।
नाइस नाइस। अरे अभी क्या खाने जाने वाला है क्या किधर?
हाँ सोच रहा हूँ खाने खुने का भी कुछ देखूं।
कुछ तो यूट्यूब वीडियो देख कर जा, बहुत रहते हैं।
हाँ पिज्जा पुज्जा बहुत फेमस है यहाँ
हाँ
का।
वही तो, वो कुछ तो ऐसे कैंची से कट करके देते पिज्जा।
हाँ और क्या कहते हैं, यहाँ टाइम स्क्वायर भी है, वो भी जाएंगे, शाम को जाएंगे।
हाँ नाइस।
तब तेरा कॉल करूंगा, वीडियो कॉल।
हाँ हाँ, कर ले भाई।
क्रेजी।
सही है भाई, मिलेंगे भाई एक दिन।
अरे तू आप पूरा घूमने ही है।
नाइस नाइस।
तू सेट हो जाए फिर घूमने आ जियो, और क्या।
है बिल्कुल भाई।
10 साल का वीजा लग जाएगा, वो अमेरिका होगा।
हाँ, एक बार लिया तो बहुत साल का, 10 साल का देते वो लोग। सही है।
10 साल का देते हैं वो सीधा।
हाँ
10 साल में तेरा सब हो जाएगा।
सही है।
ये देख भाई, क्रेजी लगे भाई।
क्या है वो?
वो भी कोई बिल्डिंग है भाई,
वो
पता नहीं क्या है।
एम्पायर स्टेट दिखा अभी वापस पीछे वाली।
ये नहीं भाई,
अभी तक इधर ही है
जब
क्या
खत्म ही नहीं हो
भाई?
रही। हाँ अरे बहुत छोटी बिल्डिंग है भाई, इसका बेस देख तू।
वही
कम
तो।
से कम 400 मीटर का बेस है
भाई बहुत बड़ी है, इतनी बड़ी भाई सोची नहीं थी मैंने।
वही भाई।
नाइस नाइस।
क्रेजी है भाई। और ये देख तू, पता नहीं ये क्या है, ये क्या है।
क्या?
ये देख,
ये किसके झंडे? फ्रांस का है क्या?
ना ये यूएन का लग रहा है।
हम्म,
CUNY क्या है।
क्या पता।
हाँ एक फोटो खींच। बाप रे खतरनाक।
अरे वीडियो पॉज हुआ तेरा।
हाँ वो फोटो खींच रहा था।
हाँ
क्या कर रहा है?
मैं भाई ऐसे ही अभी लाइव स्ट्रीम कर रहा था एक।
लाइव स्ट्रीम कर रहा था? क्या बात है,
हाँ,
कहाँ का?
ऐसे 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 ही अभी एक एक फ्रेमवर्क सीखना था, तो सोचा लाइव स्ट्रीम कर लूँ।
फ्रेमवर्क लाइव स्ट्रीम मतलब ट्विच पे?
नहीं नहीं, यूट्यूब पे।
अच्छा, तो मतलब फ्रेमवर्क चलाते हुए?
हाँ, ऐसे ही वो रीड करूंगा, सीखूंगा, ऐसे ही टाइम पास।
हाँ अच्छा, टेक टेक लाइव स्ट्रीम, हाँ।
हाँ, टेक लाइव स्ट्रीम।
बढ़िया बढ़िया। लिंक नहीं भेजा, मैं भी ज्वाइन कर लेता।
हाँ भाई, अभी अभी दिख रही, देख पीछे वाली बिल्डिंग।
दिख रही है?
हाँ, दिख रही दिख रही, नाइस।
मैन चो क्रेजी है भाई,
सही है भाई।
क्रेजी।
थोड़ा दूर
साला
जाके
गर्दन टच कर
अच्छी
रही है
फोटो
मेरी।
लेना आज।
हाँ लूंगा ना, दूध के लूंगा
हाँ
भाई। तू ये देख बहन चो, क्या
भाई, क्या गाड़ियाँ है भाई।
खतरनाक। हाँ भाई, सिस्टम में की बिल्डिंग देख के मैं हैरान हूँ।
सही है भाई।
रिएक्ट पे लूंगा तेरे को, फोटो दिखाता तेरे को, और
दिखा दिखा।
जब पीछे भेजूंगा शाम तक। रिएक्ट पे आ रही है बहुत शानदार फोटो। भाई तू ये देख भाई, इनकी एंट्रेंस देखा है आंसर।
भाई ये पैसे वाले लोगों का काम है इधर।
भाई बहुत पैसा है इस देश में, बैंकर पैसा, मतलब जिसकी
ओए,
हद नहीं उतना पैसा है इस देश में।
ऐसे गरीबी फील हो रही है मेरे को वीडियो कॉल से ही।
भाई यहाँ पे गरीब भी गरीब नहीं है भाई, मतलब तू पता है यहाँ पे स्टारबक्स में काम करके बहनचो अच्छी खासी लाइफ जी सकता है
वही
बंदा।
तो भाई, अभी क्या करे। इट इज व्हाट इट इज।
अपना देश तो बहुत पीछे रह गया भाई।
यस, करेंगे कुछ तो भाई।
थाईलैंड में कर लेंगे भाई।
थाईलैंड में, हाँ वही।
थाईलैंड भाई बेस्ट सिटी है भाई, बैंकॉक भाई अल्टीमेट जगह है भाई थाईलैंड।
ये अरे बैंकॉक से कंपेयर कर इसको।
बैंकॉक का बड़ा भाई का बड़ा भाई।
हाँ, क्या बैंकॉक से भी।
अलग अलग वाइब है भाई बैंकॉक। मतलब बैंकॉक से लंबी बिल्डिंग है और बहुत ज्यादा बिल्डिंग है बैंकॉक से, और मतलब बिल्डिंग है उसकी, और आर्किटेक्चर पूरा पुराना टाइप का है,
हाँ
मतलब
हाँ
जो तेरे वो रॉयल टाइप होता था ना,
हाँ हाँ हाँ।
वैसा आर्किटेक्चर है। और बैंकॉक ये देखते हैं शो।
क्या क्या। अरे ये स्टार्क जैसा दिख रहा है, वो स्टार्क टावर जैसा।
भाई यहाँ पे चलते हुए कोई भी कुछ मार मार देगा भाई।
अरे हाँ, उधर भाई पाकिस्तानी रेस्टोरेंट भी है।
अरे बहुत कुछ होगा यहाँ पे,
हाँ
मतलब मैं लोगों को देख रहा हूँ ना,
हाँ हाँ।
हर टाइप की शक्ल है यहाँ पे, मतलब बहुत मिक्स है सब।
कल्चर
मैं
कल्चर।
सामने से आ रहा हूँ, 10 लोग आए हैं, 10 में से कोई कुछ है, कोई कुछ है, कोई कुछ है।
डाइवर्सिटी है भाई बहुत।
नेक्स्ट लेवल है। देश इमिग्रेंट्स है ना ये पूरा।
हाँ, अपना ही है मतलब।
हाँ, अपना ही जो इंडियंस की गांड मार के रखते हैं भाई।
भाई रेसिज्म हुआ कुछ अभी तक?
नहीं, बट ऑनलाइन दिखता रहता है भाई, इंडियंस के अगेंस्ट तो बहुत, मतलब मेरे अगेंस्ट तो नहीं हुआ अब तक कुछ।
हाँ हाँ, मतलब ऐसे फेस टू
तेरा
फेस
तो-
तेरे साथ नहीं हुआ ना?
ना ना, तेरे भाई तो गोरी की चोट दी।
हाँ।
पटाखे
भाई अभी
ग्रेनेड
लाइव स्ट्रीम हो रहा है, हाँ? मतलब शुरू है।
भाई जॉब मार्केट बहुत खराब है भाई, गंदा जॉब मार्केट खराब है।
कौन सा क्या खराब है?
जॉब मार्केट तो बहुत ही खराब है अभी।
डॉग मार्केट।
यहाँ पे बहुत खराब है, मतलब
हाँ,
यहाँ पे
हाँ।
तू प्रॉब्लम है, तेरी अच्छे से अच्छी सीवी हो, फिर भी लक की बात है कि वो मैनेजर के सामने आई कि नहीं, क्योंकि हजारों
अच्छा, हाँ,
एप्लीकेंट
जॉब
हो गए।
मार्केट बोल रहा है क्या? हाँ, तो
हाँ।
तू अभी इंटर्नशिप का क्या सीन किया?
अगले साल की इंटर्नशिप है, इस साल तो कोई इंटर्नशिप नहीं है।
अच्छा, तो अभी फिर अप्लाई कर रहा है किधर कुछ, या क्या सीन?
करा मैंने अप्लाई, एक दो जगह करा है, एप्पल में अप्लाई किया अगले साल के लिए।
फिर
कोई रिस्पॉन्स अभी तो टाइम है, अभी तो अभी स्टार्टिंग है, अगस्त से स्टार्ट हो जाएगा सब।
अच्छा,
ये भी इसमें।
नाइस
हाँ,
नाइस।
मैं तो ये देख गोरिल्ला।
अरे गोरिल्ला
क्या है भाई ये?
भाई
10
वाइब
पार्क एवेन्यू।
सही है भाई, वाइब। ये देख कबूतर।
कोई कबूतर तो यहाँ भैंसो ऐसे चलते हैं, सीन करा दो, ये देख तू।
भाई बहुत कबूतर है।
कबूतर ही कबूतर है भाई, ये देख, कोई इनको डर भी
वही।
नहीं है किसी चीज का। ये देख सारे।
अमेरिका के कबूतर, पकड़ पकड़।
मेरे को बुलिंग का केस डालेंगे मेरे पे
ए, ये कौन है मोटा
भाई
आगे?
क्रेजी देख ब्रांड देख इसकी।
वही तो।
फटने को हो रखा है ये देख सामने से लोग आ रहे हैं हर टाइप का ये सामने से गोरी आ रही है ये मैक्सिकन
नहीं
गोरा
ये फटा हुआ है,
और
बहुत पिक्सल नहीं दिख रहा अच्छे से।
पता हटा है क्या पिक्सल
हाँ
और अब मिक्स ऑफ वो आ रहे हैं सब
हाँ बहुत।
वो मेट लाइफ का ऑफिस लेकिन इनका इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ऐसा है मतलब बैंकॉक में नया इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है सारा ओल्ड है
हाँ पुराना लग रहा है।
हाँ पुराना रॉयल टाइप भाई ये देख भालू वहां पे गोरिल्ला था यहाँ भालू है क्या जगह है भाई ये
आर्टिस्टिक है आर्टिस्टिक।
वो पोलर भालू अरे भाई ये देख
वो व्हाइट कलर का क्या था राइट साइड में?
पोलर पे है
हाँ
आ, जो सड़क पे रास्ता रोक दिया उन लोगों का पोलर पे है
हाँ
बदबू आ रही है
सही है भाई, घूम ले भाई।
क्रेजी जगह भाई
क्रेजी, नाइस नाइस।
दिसंबर में जापान चलते हैं क्या बोलता है
किधर?
जापान
दिसंबर में नहीं भाई, अभी नेक्स्ट मंथ जाए क्या बोल?
यार मैं नहीं आ सकता ना नेक्स्ट मंथ
दिसंबर में नहीं।
मेरी छुट्टी तब होगी विंटर ब्रेक होगा ना जो
देखता हूँ कुछ होता है क्या, बताता हूँ तेरे को।
सोचियो कोई
है।
पटा ये देख
ये वो क्या है, वो क्या है?
चोटी
हाँ हाँ।
मुझे लग रहा है कि वो ग्रैंड सेंट्रल स्टेशन हो सकता है
अच्छा
श्योर नहीं हूँ पर मैं उधर ही जा रहा हूँ
ठीक है ठीक है। ठीक है
चलो
भाई,
फिर
चलो
बताता हूँ तेरे को
ओके बाय बाय।
हाँ ओके मॉडल करते हैं फिर
चलो यस बाय बाय। हॅलो.
हा बोल ना.
हां ते आहे 28 ऑगस्ट 29 ऑगस्ट डिपॉझिटची टाईमलाईन. पण तो म्हणला आता तुम्हाला सप्टेंबरला 15 सप्टेंबरच्या आत तिकडं जायचं आहे म्हणल्यावर ते डिपॉझिट भरून मेन ऑफर लेटर घेऊन विजा घ्यायला पाहिजे आपल्याला लवकर.
होय की पण डिपॉझिट भरल्यावर मेन ऑफर लेटर नाही देणार पाहिजे.
होय
नाही वाटतं त्याच्यामध्ये
कंडिशन मीट झाल्यावर आहे काय? बरं बरं.
ऑफर लेटर नाही यायला पाहिजे आपल्याला.
कंडिशन मस्ट बी वेट बरोबर. आम्ही नाही वाचलं. नाही रे हे नुसतं कंडिशन मीट झाल्यावरही देणार वे अनकंडिशनल ऑफर लेटर. Congratulations, conditional offer letter. This offer letter is conditional. Please provide evidence. You can respond to your offer. We cannot confirm until these conditions. हा पण आपल्याला नुसतं ते नको आहे, अजून एक काय तर म्हणलेला तो कॅफ का काय तर म्हणजे स्टुडंट आयडेंटिटी फॉर्म का काय तर म्हणलेला बघ तो, मला आठवना. बघूया एकदा विचारूया त्याला. काय काय हां हां त्याला विचार. हां चालतंय. Alright, back to learning. Python type hinge key feature, very high performance on par with Node.js and Go. Okay, very good. Thanks to Starlet and Pydantic, one of the fastest Python framework available. Fast to code, increase the speed development by about 200 to 300. How come? Estimation based on test and internal development in product, building product. Okay. Fewer bug, reduce over 40% of human developer induced errors, intuitive, greater editor support, completion everywhere, also known as autocomplete, less time debugging, easy. designed to be less reading docs. Okay. uh, Short, minimize code duplication, multiple features from each parameter declaration, fewer bugs, robust, get production ready code. Standards based on fully open standard open API, Swagger and JSON. Sponsor Block B effortlessly code payments, render. So it has lot of sponsors. Let's see opinions. Kabir Khan. I'm using FastAPI a ton these days. I'm actually planning to use it for all of my team's ML services at Microsoft. Some of them are getting integrated into core Windows product and some Office product. Okay, nice. We adopted FastAPI. We adopted FastAPI spawn REST server that can be queried to obtain predictions for Ludwig. Uber. Netflix is pleased to announce the open source release of our crisis management orchestration framework Dispatch built with FastAPI. Okay, lot of good words from big companies. Let's go to learn. Here are the introductory sections and the tutorials to learn FastAPI. You could consider this book a course, the official recommended way to learn FastAPI. Okay, it is cool. Python types intro. We don't know. Python has support for optional type hints, also called type annotation. These type hints are annotation special syntax that allows declaring type of a variable. By declaring types of variable, editors and tools can give you better support. Okay. This is a quick tutorial refresher of Python type hints. Covers only the minimum necessary to use them with FastAPI, which is actually very little. Okay, nice, very nice. FastAPI is all based on type hints. They give it many advantages and benefits. But even if you never use FastAPI, you would benefit from learning a bit about them. Yes, if you are a Python expert, no, we are not. We are very not. Motivation. Let's start with a simple example. Here is a function def get full name, text first name, last name, title method is called on the string, and then concatenates. Okay, output of this program in John Doe. The function does the following: text first name, converts the first letter of each one to the uppercase title, concatenate them with the space in the middle. Get full name. Okay. Highlight it, edit it. It's a very simple program, but now imagine if you are writing it from scratch. At some point you would have started the definition of the function. You had a parameter set, but when you have to call that method that converts the first letter to uppercase, was it upper, was it uppercase, was it first uppercase, was it capitalized? Then you try with the old programmers when editor auto completion, you type the first parameter function first name and then a dot and then hit control space trigger to trigger completion, but sadly nothing useful. Okay, it gives you their first name, last name, nothing else. Get full name. Add types. Let's modify the single line of code from the previous section. We will change exactly this fragment of the function of the following: first name, last name to first name str. Type hint. Those are type hints. Alright. Let's make a Jupyter. We'll make a Jupyter. A quick docs.file. We'll copy these. To first str type hints. That is not the same as declaring the values like it would be first name is John. It's a different thing. We are using colon, not equals to, and adding type hint normally doesn't change what happens from what you would from what would happen without them. But now imagine you are again in the middle of creating that function but with type hints. Okay, let's see if that works. Dot we put control space bar. Okay, okay, we are getting cursor completion before type editor completion. But yes, we will believe them. It's a string. Why does it not work? Control. Okay, never mind. Okay, let's close perplexity and see. No suggestions. Why? Because we are not using string. Let's use string. Okay. Okay, now we are getting all the list of suggestions. We will start earlier. Okay, we have Aditya Tambe saying hello, 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 brother. Big fan, big fan. Alright, yes, good, very nice. With that, you can scroll. You are seeing option until you find one that rings a bell. More motivation. Check this function. It already has time. Great. Get name with age. Name hyphens. Name age. Name with age. Name is old age. Okay. Because the editor knows the types of error, you don't have to get completion. We also get error checks. Let's see this. Don't be the cursor is coming in between here. Age. Okay, not working, guys. Unsupported operand. I think this is VS Code specific. Cursor doesn't help us. Name with it. We don't have any. Okay. Why don't I get this error? Type hits. Let's ask cursor. Why don't I? Yes. Type hints error. Okay. Anyways, let's move on. Where were we? Declaring types. We just saw the main place of the declaring type as function params. This is also the main place you use in the FastAPI. Simple types. You can declare all the standard types of the file, not just string. You can use the following. We have a call from Karnai. Hello.
हो
Yes.
काय मग युनिव्हर्सिटी गावली काय आलं
होय युनिव्हर्सिटी ऑफ ब्रिस्टल.
ब्रिस्टल कोण?
ब्रिस्टल ब्रिस्टल कोण?
ब्रिस्टल ते माहिती आहे.
हा
अरे ब्रिस्टल माझे
होय.
इंग्लंडमध्ये आहे ना.
इंग्लंडमध्ये होय.
हा नाही.
होय.
पण चांगलं आहे युनिव्हर्सिटी.
युनिव्हर्सिटी तर बाबा म्हणजे त्या रँकची युनिव्हर्सिटीला आम्ही अप्लाय पण केलं नव्हतं.
म्हणजे चांगली नाही आहे काय?
चांगली आहे रे.
हा हा हा.
54 आहे बघ वर्ल्ड रँकिंग.
होय काय?
होय
एकदम भारी आहे.
होय.
मग आता
आता काय
काढायचं
काय काय विजा होय
काढायचं.
होय. आता हे कंडिशनल ऑफर लेटर आले त्यावर लिहिले की काहीतरी इंग्लिशचं त्यांना सापडलं नाही ते पाठवलं की एक येते ऑफर लेटर फायनल. मग मग विजा काढायचा. त्यांचं काय ते डिपॉझिट आहे ते बी द्यायचं आहे. येस. काय चाललंय?
दोघांना पण गावली का तुला एकट्याला गावली?
नाही दोघांना बी गावली.
सेम सेम युनिव्हर्सिटी.
सेम. येस. सपला विषय.
लोक आपल्याला जरा आणि चिकन बिर्याणी राईस करायचं आहे.
होय काय? मी आता लाईव्ह स्ट्रीम करालोय.
कसली?
फास्ट API शिकालोय. फास्ट API फास्टच शिकायचं आहे म्हणजे एका लाईव्ह स्ट्रीममध्ये संपवून देतो. हां
काय ती मला मिळालं होतं बघ कुपन वर्कस्पेस ॲडमिनिस्ट्रेटर आणि याच्या.
मिळालं ना? चालते मग करून टाकते. कधी देणार आहेस टेस्ट?
या विकेंडला देतो. माझं शेड्यूल करायचं आहे.
हां
असला स्लॉट आहे या विकेंडला देऊन टाकतो ती.
बरं.
आणि अजून एखादं कुठलं करायचं सांग. डिजिटल लीडर.
हां हां
आई मग काय नाही सध्या हे चालू आहे.
काय
टाटा चालू आहे.
काय चाललंय?
टाटा चालू आहे.
टाटा
टाटासाठी चालू आहे.
टाटालेचे ऑफिसमध्ये नको रे. बरं ताट आता काय सोडायचं जायचं. पेपर नाही असंच. हां
दुसरीकडे दुसऱ्या कॅन्डिडेटला जायचं आहे.
हां
तर मिळालं म्हणजे जायचं.
हां हां
चांगला आहे. मग आणि काय तर करता येईल शिकता येईल.
हां
असं आहे.
चालते. येस. Okay, we had Atharva karna hai, but okay. Anyway, we will resume. Let's see what O3 said. Python type hints annotations you write after the events are only hints. Interpreter completely ignores them at runtime. They become useful. Okay, I know this, but you get a normal runtime error. But yeah, I didn't get it, but you will not see type hint complain. Useless guy. Okay, anyways. Simple types. You can declare all the standard Python types, not only string. You can use, for example, init, float, bool types, bytes. Okay. Generic types with type parameters. There are some data structure that can contain other values like dictionary, list, set, and tuple, and internal values can have their own type too. These types have the internal types called generic types. It is possible to declare them even in internal types. To declare those types and internal types, you can use the standard Python module typing. It exists specifically to support this type of hints. Never well said. The syntax using typing is compatible with. If I just say import typing. It exists specifically support type hints. The syntax typing is compatible with all versions from Python 3.6. As Python Advanced newer versions come with provided support for those type annotations. In many cases, you don't even have to import and use typing model to declare the type annotations. If you can choose the more recent version of Python for your build, you'll be able to make advantage of the extra simplicity. In all the docs, there are examples compatible with each version of Python when there is a difference. For example, Python 3.6 plus means is compatible with 3.6 including above 1.9 plus. You can use the latest version of the Python and use the latest example. For example, list, let's define the variable list. Declaration of the variable list using a symbol that process. Okay, let me as the list is a type that contains some internal types, you put them in the square bracket. Those internal types in this square bracket are called type parameters. In this case, string is the type parameter passed to the list or list in Python 3.9 or okay, small. That means the variable items is a list of which items in the list is string. By doing that in the editor, you can provide even support. Okay, def. So let us try. Def process item. We have list string. Okay, we got all the internal functions. No worries. Good. Okay, that means the variable items in a list and each item in the list is a string. By doing that, your editor can provide support even while processing items from the list. Without types, it's almost impossible to achieve. Notice that the variable item is one of the variables in the item list, and still the editor knows its string and provides support for that. Tuple and set. You would do the same to declare tuple and set. Items t tuple in string. What does that mean? Okay. Set. This means that item t. Okay, hello, we have Pranay Urkude. Thank you Pranay. Thank you for the super chat. You have my number. The variable item t is a tuple with 3 items in string. Variable items s is a set of the type bytes. To define a dictionary, you pass 2 parameters separated by commas. The first is the keys, second is the values. Okay, makes sense. This means the variable prices is a the keys of the dictionary are the type string, the values are of the type float. Let's say price of the item. Union. You can declare a variable can declare a variable of several types. Several types, for example, an int, a string. In Python 3.6 and above, including 3.10, you can use union type from typing and put it inside square bracket the possible types to accept. Union type in string. In Python 3.10, there is also a new syntax where you can put the possible types accepted by vertical bar can be an int or a string. In both cases, this means item could be an integer or a string, possibly none. You can declare a value that have a type like string, but it could also be none. In 3.6 or above, you can declare. Can we reduce? Oh, okay, my bad, guys. Let us reduce it. Okay, is it better now? Is it better? Okay, they say to import optional, say hi. We have optional, which is a list, or no, what is optional? Possibly none. Is a string, which is none. Using optional str instead of just string, we will let the editor help you decide what will be. We will let the editor help you detect errors where you could be assuming the value is always a string and it could be none too. Optional something is optional string is equals to none is actually a shortcut for union something none. They are equivalent. This also means the Python 3 and you can use something none. Okay, this is better. Say hi. Name string none. If name is not none, this is good Python. Using union or optional. If you are using Python version 3.10 or that from my very subjective point of view. Avoid using optional sum type. Instead use union sum type none. Okay, both are equivalent and underneath they are the same, but I would recommend union instead of optional because of the word optional would seem to imply that the value is optional and it actually means it can be none. Even if it is not optional, it is still required. I think union sum type none is more explicitly about what it means. It's just about the words and the name, but those words can affect how you and your teammates think about the code. As an example, let's take this function. From typing import optional, say hi name optional string hey name other version variants. The parameter name is defined as optional string, but it is not optional. You cannot call the function without the parameter. This throws an error. Okay, so if you have a function and if you pass the optional str, it has to be a something input, but none is also accepted, as we can see below. And this works. This is a good news. Once you are on Python 3.10, you won't have to worry about that, as you will be able to simply use this line, very good, to define union types, string or none. Okay, and then you won't have to worry about names like optional union. Yes, cool, nice. Okay, next we are now jumping to generic types. These types that take type parameters in square brackets are called generic types or generics. For example, 3.10 plus. You can use the same built-in types as generics with square brackets and types inside. List equals set text and the same as Python 3.8 from the typing module. Built-in type generics and other. In Python 3.10 as an alternative of using generics union. Optional, you can use the vertical bar. Classes as types. You can also declare a class as the type of a variable. Let's say you have given a class person with a name. Class person, you can also declare a class as the type variable. Let's say given a class person with a name. This is a class person. In it has name. Name is string, subname is name. So when you write function get person name, one person is person is actually the class, so we need to get the method name, call the method name, then you can declare the variable to be of the type person. Def person name string, so declare the type of a variable. Get person name, person dot name. What's the difference? Same. And then again you'll get all the editor support. Dot name, okay, it has, because it has seen the person class. Notice that this means one person is an instance of the class person. It does not mean one person is the class called person. Yes, pretty obvious. Pydantic models. Pydantic is a Python library to perform data validation. You declare the shape of the data as classes with attributes, and each attribute has type as a type. Then you create an instance of that class with some values, and it will validate the values, convert them to appropriate type if that's the case, and give you the object with all the data, and you get all the editor support with that resulting object. Here's an example: from datetime import datetime, from pydantic import base model, class user, base user, user base model as an argument to user id, in name string John Doe, sign up ts, date time or none, friends is list of int is equals to empty. And external data is equals to id, sign up times and friends is list of integers. User is user of star data, passing this user, print user. Friends are 1 2 3. User dot id. Okay, one question I have here, they have mentioned it is string int. Let's ask ChatGPT. The user class has friends defined as list of int. So how does model 1 to n byte of 3 get accepted. Second and third elements are not integer. Are not it. Let's see. This behavior comes from identity, automatic type, coercion, and validation. In your example, even though the external type don't strictly match the types of the user model, identity version 1, which you are likely using, automatically parses and coerces these values into the expected as long as it's possible and safe. Oh, okay, nice. Identity behavior here is intentional and convenient, which aims to make models robust and user friendly, handling common type mismatches gracefully. Validation errors. And what does this This line is by identic model for declaration that combines type annotation with the default value. Okay, default value is empty list. I see. And we also don't really understand. So when I call user star external data, why do I need star? What I said, use star because you are unpacking a dictionary into keyword argument when calling either constructor. So what if I just print star dict? Great curiosity. Print some dict will raise an error in most cases. Unpacks the dictionary into keyword arguments is equivalent to a is equals to 1. Okay. But maybe not how you expect. Okay, let's see how that works quickly. We don't want this, and then we will run python docs.py. Alright, we got an error. Never mind. Okay. So pydantic. From pydantic import base model. So FastAPI is all based on pydantic. You will see a lot more in this factor in the tutorial user guide. Type hints with metadata annotation. Python also has a feature that allows putting additional metadata in these type hints using annotated. In Python 3.9, annotated is a part of standard library which you can import from typing import annotated additional metadata. This is just metadata. Annotated string, this is just metadata. Python itself does not do anything with this annotated, and for editors and other too. The type is still string, but you can use this space in annotated to provide FastAPI and additional material about how you want the application to behave. The important thing to remember is the first type parameter you pass to the annotated is the actual type. The rest is just metadata for other tools. Okay, this could be useful for our agents. Let's see. For now, you just need to know that annotated exists and it's a standard Python. Later you will see how powerful that can be. Type hints in FastAPI. Tip: the fact that this is a standard Python, which means you will still get the best possible developer experience in your editor within the tools used to analyze and refactor your code, etc. And also your code will be very compatible with many Python tools and libraries. Type hints in FastAPI. FastAPI takes advantage of these type hints to do several things. With FastAPI you declare parameters. With type hints you get editor support, type checks, and FastAPI uses some declaration to define requirements from the path.
मला का सांगितलं नाही
काय
लंडनला चाललाय
आत्ताच आजच कळालं.
मग मी आलेले 2 वेळा रूम मध्ये
हा काय
का सांगितलं नाही
सांगतो की आता.
ते पण तू नाही सांगितलं सांगतो मी
मग
आता. मला कळलंय ना
कोण
आता.
मम्मीने सांगितलं काय?
होय
मम्मीला पण सांगणार नव्हतो.
मग
सांगितलं आता. अजून नाही ग, अजून तुला एकदम सरप्राईज देणार होतो तुला.
तर कन्फर्म झालं
हा आता जायचं तर तिथंच. होय
कधी जाणार मग
कधी जाणार? सप्टेंबर स्टार्टिंगला, एकदम स्टार्टिंगला 2 महिने
2 महिन्यात जाणार आहे
2 महिन्यात
2 महिन्यात
हा
आणि काय जपानला जाणार आहेस
ते बघूया नक्की नाही. चालतंय.
चालते काय फोनवर बोलालोय काय
Define requirements from request path parameters, query parameters, headers, borders, dependencies, etc. Convert data. And FastAPI uses same declarations to define parameters from request path parameters, query params, header, body. Convert data from request to required type, validate data coming from each request, generating automatic errors, handling to the client when the data is invalid. Document the API using OpenAPI. Okay, we have Krishna, Mr. Krishna. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, brother. Love from me. Peace. MUA Bantai is the best. MUA Bantai. This might sound abstract, don't worry, you'll see this in the user tutorial. The important thing is that by using standard Python types. Okay, by the way, if you are still here, Mr. Krishna, check out lordpatil.com. The other day I was calling you for a 3D model, but I have finally created one. This is how it looks. Fancy stuff. L-stream, GG, yes. The important thing is that standard types, single place instead of adding class decorator. FastAPI will do a lot of work for you. Okay, let's see what. If you already went to the walkthrough of all the track, come back to see more about good research. No, I will go next. Next is concurrency, how it seems. Details about the async def, syntax for the path operation function, and some background about asynchronous code, concurrency, and parallelism. In a hurry, too long. Async def. Only MUA बनता है brother, MUA बनता है. Only MUA बनता है. Then declare your path operation functions like async def, like if you are using the third party libraries that tell you to call them, like await, that's some library, then you declare the path operation with async def, like at async def read results is equals to await some library, return result. You can use await inside of the functions created with async def. if you are using a third party library that communicate with something, a database, an API, uh, check out dotpatil.com. Alright, I was just checking stream lag. Anyways, uh, if you are using third party library that communicates with something, a database, an API, file system, yes, we need these things, and doesn't have support using await. This currently, uh, this is currently the case for the most database libraries. Then declare the path inside, no, just like normal diff. Okay, async if await, if no await, direct function declaration. If your application somehow doesn't have to communicate with anything else and wait for the user to respond, use async def to communicate anything else and wait for the user to respond, even if you don't need to wait async. If you don't know, if you just don't know, use normal def. But you can mix def, async def in your path operation as much as you need and define each one using the best option for you. FastAPI will do the right thing with them. Okay, nice. Anyway, in any of the one case, FastAPI will still work asynchronously and be extremely fast, but by following the steps above, it will be able to do some performance optimization. Technical details. Most modern versions of Python have support for asynchronous code using something called coroutines with async and await syntax. Thank you so much, Bharatake Krishna. GG, MUA बनता है P Town. Let's see the phrase of the parts of the section below. Asynchronous code, async and await, coroutines. Asynchronous code just means the language has the way to tell computer program that at some point in the code it will have to wait for something else to finish somewhere else. Let's say something else is called slow file. So during that time computer can go do some other work while the slow file finishes. Then the program will come back every time it has chance because it's waiting again, and whenever it finished all the work it had upon, it will see if any of the task it was waiting for have finished doing whatever it had to do. Next it will first task to finish, let's say our slow file, and continues whatever it had to do with it. Okay, FastAPI documentation, guys, is really useful. I mean, look at the way this is written. I do not have to read this again. The first time I read it, asynchronous code is now clear to me. Okay, let's move on. That wait for something else normally refers to IO operations. P Town. That wait for something else normally refers to IO operations that are relatively slow compared to the normally refers to IO operation that are compared to the speed of the processor and the RAM memory, like waiting for the data from the client to be sent through the network, data sent by your program to be received by the client through the network, the content of a file in the disk to be read by the system and given to your program. The contents your program gave to the system would be returned to the disk. A remote API operation, a database operation to finish, a database query to return the results, etc. Okay, all of this is useful. So therefore, in my use case, I think I will have to use more of this async def. Okay, we have about something below. As the execution time is consumed, okay, we are done with this, right? As the execution time is consumed mostly by waiting for IO operation, they call them IO bound operation. IO input and output. We have something from Krishna sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Baltake Krishna. Okay, Mr. Krishna, if you are listening, let's join the live stream after dinner, and then we can do Bakchodi, Pitao. This idea of synchronous code described above is sometimes called concurrency. It is different from parallelism. Concurrency and parallelism both relate to the different things happening more or less at the same time. But the details between concurrency and parallelism are quite different. Okay, no worries. Are quite different. To see the difference, imagine the following story of the burgers. Concurrent burgers. You go with your crush to get fast food. You stand in line while the cashier takes the orders of the people in front of you. Okay. Then it's your turn to place your order of two very fancy burgers for your crush and you. Oh, the cashier says something to the cook in the kitchen so they know they have to prepare your burgers even though they are currently preparing the one for the previous clients. You pay. The cashier gives you the number of your turn. While you are waiting, you go with your cash and pick a table. You sit and talk with your crush for a long time as the burgers are very fancy and takes time to prepare. As you are sitting at the table with your crush, while you wait for the burgers, you can spend that time admiring how awesome, cute, and smart your crush is. Ooh. Okay, we can't relate to this guys yet, but since this is just an example, we will bear with it for now. While waiting and talking to your crush, from time to time you check the number displayed on the counter to see if your turn is ready. Then at some point, it's finally your turn. You go to the counter, get your burgers, come back to the table. You and your crush eat burger, have a nice time. Beautiful illustration by Katrina Drawsalot. Katrina Thompson. Imagine you are a computer program in that story. While you are at the line, you are just idle, waiting for your turn, not doing anything very productive, but the line is fast because the cashier is only taking the orders, not preparing them, so that's fine. Then when it's your turn, you do the actual productive work. You process the menu, decide what you want, and you get your choice. Pay, check that you give the correct bill or the card, check that you are charged correctly, check the order that has correct item. But then, even though you still don't have your burgers, your work with the cashier is on pause because you have to wait for your burgers to be ready. As you go away from the counter, you sit at the table with the number for it, and you can switch your attention to your crush, work on that. Then you are going to doing something very productive as flirting with your crush. Then the cashier says, "I am finished." This is how documentation should be. Then the cashier says, "I am finished with doing burgers," by putting them the number on counter display. But you don't jump off crazy immediately when displayed the number changes to your turn. You know no one will steal your burgers because you you have the number of your turn and they have theirs. So you wait for your crush to finish the current work, task being processed. Smile gently and say that you are going for the burgers. Then you go to the counter, to the initial task that is now finished. Pick the burgers and say thanks, and take them to the table. That finishes that step, task of interaction with the counter. That in turn creates a new task of eating burgers but the previous thing of getting burgers is finished. Parallel burgers, concurrent burgers. Now let's imagine that these aren't concurrent burgers but parallel burgers. You go with your crush to get parallel fast food. You stand in line while several, let's say 8 cashiers at the same time are cooks to take orders from people in front of you. Everyone before you is waiting for their burgers to be ready before leaving the counter, because each of the 8 cashiers prepares the burger right away before getting the next order. Then finally it's your turn. You place your order of 2 fancy burgers fresh and you pay. Okay, 2 burger. Give us. Cashier goes to the kitchen. You wait standing in front of the counter so that no one else takes your burger before you do, as there are no number of turns. As you and your crush are busy not letting in front of you take your burgers, and you cannot pay attention to your crush. This is synchronous work. You are synchronized with the cashier cook. You have to wait, be there at the exact moment when the cashier cook finishes the burgers and give them to you, otherwise someone else might take them. Then cashier cook finally comes back to the burgers after a long time there in front of the counter. You take the burgers and go to the table with your crush. You just eat them when you're done. There was not much talk flirting, as most of the time was spent in front of the counter. This scenario of parallel burgers or the computer program with 2 processors, you and your crush both waiting for a dedicated attention, waiting for the counter for a long time. The fast food store has 8 processors, while the concurrent burger store might only have 2, one cashier and one food. But still, the final experience is not the best. This would be parallel equivalent story for burgers. For a more real life, imagine a bank. Up to recently, most of the banks had multiple cashiers and a big line. All of these caches are doing work with one client after the other, and then you have to wait in line for a long time, or you lose your time. You probably wouldn't have take your crush with you to run errands at the bank burger country. If the scenario of the fast food with your crush, as there is a lot more waiting, it makes a lot more sense to have concurrent systems. This is the case for the most web application. Many users, but your server is waiting. Many users, but your server is waiting for their not so good connection to send their request. Then waiting again for the response says to come back. This waiting is measured in microseconds, but still summing it all, it's a lot of waiting in the end. That's why it makes a lot of sense to use asynchronous code for web APIs. This kind of asynchronality is what made Node.js popular. Even though Node.js is not parallel, and that's the strength of the Go as a programming language. And that's the same level of performance you get with FastAPI. Very nice. I don't have to learn Node.js or Go. And as you can have parallelism, asynchronity at the same time, you get higher performance than most of the tested Node.js framework on par with the Go, which is compiled language closer to the C. Is concurrency better than parallelism? Nope. That's not the moral of the story. Concurrency is different than parallelism, and it is better on specific scenarios that involves a lot of waiting. Because of that, generally it is a lot better than parallelism for web application development, but not for everything. So to balance it, imagine the following story: you have to clean a big dirty house. Yep, that's the whole story. There is no waiting anywhere. There is just a lot of work to do on multiple places in the house. You could have turns at the burger, for example, firstly in the kitchen, but as you are not waiting for anything, just cleaning and cleaning, your turns wouldn't affect anything. It would take same amount of work to finish with or without turns, and you would have to do the same work as you are not doing it turns. But in this case, if you could bring 8x cache now cleaners, each one of them, plus you could take a zone of the cleaning house to clean it, you could do all the work in parallel. Next step. In this scenario, each one of the cleaners, including you, would be the processor doing their part of the and the most of the execution is taken by the actual work instead of waiting. And the work in the computer is done by a CPU. It's called CPU bound. They call this problem CPU bound. CPU bound Some common examples of CPU bound operations are things that require complex math processing, for example, image, audio, computer vision, machine learning, deep learning. Concurrency plus parallelism, web plus machine learning. With FastAPI, you can take advantage of concurrency. This is very common for web development. Main attraction of the name there. But you can also exploit benefits of parallelism, multiprocessing, having multiple processes run in parallel. For a CPU bound workload, likely those of machine learning systems. Okay, very nice. That plus the simple fact that Python is the main language for data science, machine learning, especially deep learning, make Python API very good match for data science, machine learning, APIs and application, among many others. To see how to see this parallelism production, see section about deployment. Okay, we are going there. Async and wait. Modern versions of Python have very intuitive way to define synchronous code. This makes it look just like normal sequential code and do a waiting for you at the right moment. when there is an operation that will require waiting before giving results and has support for these Python features, you can code it like burgers await get to. Modern Python versions are very intuitive way of defining asynchronous code. It makes this makes it look normal, just like normal sequential code, and do awaiting for you at the right moments. Modern This makes it look just like normal sequential code with the awaiting before you support like await. The key here is await. It tells Python it has to wait for burgers to finish doing the thing before storing the. With that, Python will know it can go do something else in the meanwhile, like receiving another request. For await to work, it has to be inside a function that supports asynchronicity. To do that, you just declare it with async_def. Async_def get burgers, return burgers instead of def. This is not asynchronous. Sequential burgers. With async_def, Python knows that inside that function it has to be aware of await expressions, and that can pause the execution of the function, go do something else before coming back. When you want to call an async_def function, you have to await it, so this won't work. But so if you are using a library that tells you that you can call it with await, you need to create the path operation function that uses async_def, like in this. More technical, you might not notice that await can only be inside function definition defined with async_def, but at the same time function defined with async_def have to be waited. So function is async_def can only be inside functions with async_def can only be inside the functions defined with async_def too. So about the chicken and egg, how do you call the first async function? If you are working with FastAPI, you don't have to worry about that, because the first function we will be in your path operation function, and FastAPI will know how to do the right thing. But if you want to use async await without FastAPI, you can do it as well. Write your own async code, starlet and FastAPI are based on any IO, which makes it compatible both Python standard library asyncio and Travis. In particular, you can use any IO for advanced concurrency uses that require more advanced pattern in your code. And even if you are not using FastAPI, you could also write your own async applications any IO to be highly compatible and get this benefit. Structured concurrency. I created another library on top of any IO as a thing layer on the top to improve bit of type annotations and get better completion and inline errors. It is also a friendly introduction tutorial how to understand to write your own async code. It would be particularly useful if you need to combine async code with regular blocking. Okay, so what I need to check is Gemini API support async. Yes, Gemini API does support asynchronous code both natively and through SDK or Python uniform. Await. Okay, very nice, good. I created. Oh, so I will be using other LLM calls, but then I will also be giving these to my app. So I'm not sure if I need to write my own async code now, so we will keep this on hold. Any other form of from asynchronous code? This style of using async and await is relatively new in language, but it makes working with asynchronous code lot easier. Same syntax, almost identical, was also included in modern versions of JavaScript. But before that, handling asynchronous code was quite more complex and difficult. In the previous versions of Python, we could have used threads or event, but the code is way more complex to understand debug. Think about in previous versions of Node.js browser JavaScript, we would have to you would have used callbacks, which leads to callback hell. Callback hell. JavaScript. Okay, we don't need to worry about this. Fuck it. Coroutine. Coroutine is just a very fancy term for the thing returned by async tag. Okay, I need to take a break, guys. Let's take a break. Okay guys, I will be back in some time. Okay, guys, we are back. काय 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 म्हणते Yes, guys, we are back. And now we were reading coroutines. Coroutine is just a very fancy term for the thing returned by an async def function. Python knows that it is something like a function that can start and that it will end at some point, but it might be paused internally too whenever there is an await inside. But all this functionality of asynchronous await is many times summarized as coroutine. It is comparable and main key feature of the Go routines. Conclusion. Let's see some free from the modern version of the Python has support for asynchronous code, sometimes called as coroutine with async def awaits async and awaits. This should make more sense now. All of this is power FastAPI to Starlet. We don't know what Starlet is, neither do we care. So what makes it have such an impressive performance? Very technical details. Path operation function. When you declare path operation function with normal def instead of async def, it is run in an external thread pool and then awaited instead of being called directly, as it would block the server. So if you are coming from another async framework that does not work in the way described above, and you are used to defining trivial compute only path operation functions with plan def for a tiny performance gain about 100 nanoseconds, no fast, that is FastAPI, the effect would be quite opposite. In this case, better to use async def and your path operation functions. Use the code that performs blocking IO. Still, in both situations, chances are FastAPI will still be faster than, or at least comparable to your previous framework. Dependency. The same applies dependency. If a dependency is standard def function instead of it is running external thread subdependencies. You can have multiple dependencies and subdependency requiring each other as parameters of the function definition. Some of them might be created async def and some with normal def. It would still work, and once created with normal def would be called an external thread instead of being awaited. Same. Again, these are very useful if you came researching for them. Otherwise, you should be good with the guidelines in a hurry. Okay, so in a hurry took me back again in environment variables. An environment variable known as envvars An environment variable, also known as env-var, is a variable that lives outside of the Python code in the operating system. Could be read by a Python code by the other program as well. Environment variables could be useful for handling application settings as part of installation in Python. Create env variables, echo, export my name, echo dollar my name. Then you could use restart. Read env var is Python. Outside of Python in the terminal, I write them in Python. Okay, environment variables we know. Load.env, virtual environment. So okay, when you work in Python project, you probably should use the virtual environments or a similar mechanism to isolate the packages you install. काय चिक्की दे जरा. नको. Okay, we know about now we are okay. One thing I wanted to check about the packages is recently I have heard one thing I need to perplex it. Is always possible. Okay, here is where we will start. This tutorial shows you how to use FastAPI with most of its features step by step. Each section gradually builds upon previous ones. So that it is specific API needs. Structured into separate topics. It is also built to work as a feature reference, so we can come back to see what you need. On the code blocks can be copied and used directly. They are actually tested Python files to run any example. Copy the code in the long-term FastAPI server. FastAPI dev main. It is highlighting that you write or copy code using your FastAPI. Okay, we already have FastAPI. Make sure and once you get the detail. Build complete application. It is designed so that you can build complete application with just tutorial, user guidelines and extended different ways. Steps. The simplest first API could look like this in the past. At app get slash assembly